Blitz Esports releases new videos every week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. If you've been paying attention to the league meta in the last couple of weeks, you've probably noticed that AD carries are going extinct. In casual games, pro games, and streams, people are choosing just about everything but an AD carry in the bot lane. Mordekaiser, Vladimir, Ornn, Yasuo, Irelia, you name it. In fact, here's a chart from Emily Rand showing bot lane picks from the LPL, LCK, EU, and NA pro games in the last week. Only 32% of games have traditional AD carry bot lanes on both teams. So what exactly happened for AD carries to suddenly get replaced with bruisers and mages? Let's break it down.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Haha, check this out.
The patch 8.11 changes were one of the big factors behind the shift in bot lane. All AD carries had their base stats changed, and most importantly, they lost base AD in favor of AD per level. Now, marksmen don't reach their old AD number until level 9 and have way less early game presence. Fleet footwork was also nerfed in patch 8.11, so now it has no crit scaling and gives less healing when you hit minions with ranged champions. Combined with the health regen nerfs that also came with 8.11, this makes it much harder for AD carries to survive the laning phase if they get poked out or lose a trade in lane. Lastly, patch 8.11 overhauled crit itemization and screwed over crit AD carries. Most Zeal items are 300 gold more expensive, and then there's Infinity Edge. The price went up by 200 gold, it got 10 AD, lost its amplified crit bonus, and it no longer gives critical strike, instead doubling your current critical strike. This is important because IE is no longer a good first item. It has to scale with other items and only gives 80 attack damage for 3600 gold if you build it first. This was also a heavy hit to the popular picks like Caitlyn and Tristana. They used to go for 2 Zeal items in IE, costing 8700 gold. Now, if they go for that build, it costs 9500 gold, and even though at 3 items you'll have 100% crit and 10 more AD, the loss of amplified crits means their overall damage actually goes down. On top of major crit AD carries losing their edge, the IE change means a lot of AD carries lack a solid first item to rush, making their early game even weaker. Stormrazor was introduced as an option, but its passive doesn't fit the constant damage output playstyle of most AD carries, and instead favors a more hit and run playstyle that's less useful and less valuable mid-game. So overall, AD carries got a set of stat nerfs, rune changes, and for crit champs, item issues that weaken them directly, but more importantly, AD carry early game is weaker across the board. Why does that matter so much? Well, there were several big changes to the game itself that made this a big problem. On patch 8.10, Rift Scuttler got a big upgrade, with it granting more experience and gold to whoever kills it. This means it got way more important to have lane priority so that you could leave lane and help your jungler secure Scuttle. This in turn means more skirmishing in the early stages. And who doesn't really want to skirmish early? AD carries, especially with their newly nerfed sustain and early AD. Then in patch 8.11 we got nerfs to inhibitor and Nexus turret health, which makes games easier to close out. 8.9 also saw nerfs to mage itemization, limiting their mana pool and so their ability to stall games with wave clear. Baron as an objective also got easier to take. On patch 8.9, its base damage was decreased to make up for base health and corruption damage increasing. But 8.11 brought attack speed and corruption damage nerfs, making it much easier of a fight. All in all, these changes promote a faster game pace, leading to shorter matches that don't need the slow scaling and more difficult early game of AD carries. You may be asking why, in all the years of early game buffs and nerfs, AD carries never really died this hard. And that's because these changes aren't just bad with the recent early game ADC nerfs, but because of why AD carries are needed in the first place. 1. For scaling. They become the main source of consistent damage going into mid and late game. 2. Objective taking. Consistent ranged autos are the main way to siege turrets, and for neutral objectives, AD carry damage was needed to take it as fast as possible. 3. Tank killing. Some are better than others at this, but generally, AD carries with constant attacks and armor pen are the best class to take down tanks. And now, with changes to the base, objective, and scuttle, games are snowballing and ending earlier, and scaling roles aren't as important. With the tougher early game and no late game opportunities, why play an AD carry over a much more relevant class? As for objectives, Baron is now much easier to take, and on patch 8.10, AP champion damage to turrets was buffed, meaning they could make up for the lack of an AD carry and can be used in the bot lane too. In fact, the popularity of AD champions in the top, jungle, and even mid lane right now makes AP bot lanes even more viable to balance the damage types. In tank killing? What tanks? The new Conqueror rune made bruisers stronger and pushed tanks out of the meta. And unlucky for AD carries who didn't benefit much from Conqueror, bruisers have much better damage and more tools to access the backline and kill marksmen. So what's next for AD carries? Well, they're not in a great spot right now. Everything that made them necessary for a composition isn't as relevant. But Riot has mentioned that they've planned buffs to bring back more AD carries to viability, and you can expect that on patch 8.13. Riot also mentioned that they want to try and maintain some of the new diversity in the bot lane. So start getting used to not having one AD carry on each team as a mandatory class. We release new content every single week, so subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out.